I can't look back, it's too late now. My days are hours and I don't know how, but I believe the great is still yet to come. I won't stop fighting, man, until I'm done.
Good morning, or good day, or good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. We are now in the, and they say that the average podcast lasts 7 episodes, so
We made it.
we are now at episode 7, so let's go, baby.
We made it.
So next week we can celebrate being better than average. Welcome to the Breakfast Ball. I'm Bob Cardia, and to my left, to your right, is the dashing Richie Stoltz. Before we get started today, we were supposed to have our first guest on the show today, and what I call the South Jersey's version of Eric Thomas and Les Brown, Chris Hammerquist. Unfortunately, Chris had some medical issues today. Thoughts and prayers with Chris. We're going to have him on as soon as we can, but Chris is one of those people that I value. One of my best friends on the planet. He is a self-made man. He brought himself from very humble beginnings to something special, and proud of him. And I'd like to share his story with you guys as we go. So, shout out to Chris. But it reminds me of the self-made man thing. They, what is it? Earl Nightingale. That's Earl Nightingale, the speaker. He had a great quote on self-made people. He said, "Everybody is self-made, but only the successful people want to admit it." So, just a thought, folks. Yeah. Right? That's the truth. So, anyway, today's episode we called Taylor Swift on fitness, or not fitness, on fearless. Fitness was last week. Fearless is this week. So it'll make my daughter happy anyway, because my daughter is a 13-year-old Swiftie.
Yeah, shout out to all the Swifties out there.
Shout out to the Swifties. Like, not our demographic, mind you, but like, shout out to all of you. It's, I guess maybe because I have a different perspective since I have a 13-year-old daughter, but it's crazy. I know we had my daughter's birthday party at Topgolf, and she had a Taylor Swift cake, which is kind of cool what they can do with that stuff.
Yeah.
Like they can, but anyway. So, I my daughter does odds and ends for me sometimes. She runs out and allowance type of stuff around. But she does work for us from time to time, yeah. And I pay her here and there, and it's funny because the right after I pay her, the first thing she typically wants to do is run to the vinyl store, because I'm big into vinyl now. I have my vinyl collection. Vinyl's back, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
I do not.
Yes, vinyl is back.
All right.
There are vinyl stores.
I'm going to get on the trend.
Get on the trend, yes. So what my daughter now does, every time I pay her basically her allowance, she goes with me to the record store and buys a new Taylor Swift vinyl. So Taylor Swift, God bless you, because you got the world, you got the world at your feet, I guess. I looked at, I think she's she's less than 35. She's in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. She sold, I guess, over 13 million albums, and is the #1 digital artist of all time.
So, me personally, I'm not that big of a Taylor Swift fan, but I got to give her credit where credit's due. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's done great things in songwriting, singing.
Yeah.
In her industry, she's really killed it.
Yeah. In terms of what we do, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but the first quote that came up when I was researching Taylor Swift, she said, "I think fearless is having fears, but jumping anyway," which I love. And there's a million adaptations of that quote. Just so you know, I know Steve Harvey has something. I think it says "jump," and then John Wayne. For those of you who remember John Wayne, I'm a little bit older than me, but too. But John Wayne, the American cowboy icon, said, courage is being scared to death, but getting in the saddle anyway. Mm-hmm. And that's really, that's the gist of being fearless or having true courage is being scared, but pushing through anyway. And well, let's talk about that, okay? Because I think you and I both can put a unique perspective on that. So we're the oldest golf school in New Jersey. We've been in business pushing 45 years consecutively. Not Richie and I, by the way. We're not that old. I took the family business over maybe 25, 30 years ago. Like I didn't start. You know, I tell everybody I look so young because I started when I was 8 years old. Anyway, so the golf school that we run, we're the South Jersey Golf Schools, and obviously the name of this podcast is the Breakfast Ball. But I guess the point I'm trying to convey is, you know, this is a performance psychology, topics of life, you know, everyday conversation type of podcast with kind of a golf backbone.
Yeah.
Because that's, you know, for those of you who don't know, I've been the head golf coach at Rutgers University at Camden now for about 30 years, and we've had a lot of success. I think we've been at 9 national championships, I guess. And Richie here was first team All-American, NCAA AA All-American, and has aspirations of being on the tour. We talk about this, you know, quite a bit, but, you know, we're a golf school, and right now it's January, and we're looking at snow coming on Monday, and we're looking at, you know, sub-freezing temperatures and whatnot. Most golf pros, or most people that are in this business, this is the time of year where they're doing nothing.
Yeah.
So I sit across from Richie and Mary each week. We meet each week religiously. Out of the past, I guess, 70 Wednesdays,
like that.
we've met 69 of them. So we, like clockwork, we meet every Wednesday morning, and we talk about how to grow. You know, what are we going to do? Yeah. And, you know, Richie presented an idea about 2 years ago of running a junior golf league. Remember that when you presented that? Yeah. And like we did that, and guess what, guys? That league sold out. And then we said, hey, let's do special events. So we partnered with one of the local golf courses, and the first event we did was Ladies' Night. And we made it was a charcuterie board, desserts, open wine bar, which the ladies always love the open wine bar. But we had capacity of 80, and we had a waiting list for that. So then we went into a March Madness night, right? And we did singles mingle, which, you know, look, not every idea is going to be a huge success, to be quite honest with you.
It was a learning experience.
Right. Yeah, what we all didn't realize is, like, you know, the demographic. So, you know, I think at that function we had 20 to 30 guys between 25 and 40, and then 20 women between 35 and 65. So, like, you know, although if you're a cougar, I think it was actually a great event for you to be at, but it just, you know, it was, you know, we do what we can do. And then we did, we did March Madness. What March was that? Was March? March. Oh, we did Bourbon and Cigar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the bourbon
which
cigars.
was also a nice event. So I guess the point being is, I thrive on the unknown. Like we sit here every meeting that we have. At the end of the meeting, I say, you know, new ideas, and Richie and Mary are both great with that. I mean, that's how we came to the podcast. Like I'm a big fan. Like I Les Brown and Eric Thomas and Goggins and Tony Robbins. You know, we consume a lot of those videos. You know, and I'm also constantly reading, and the belief is, you know, I've always believed this, but, you know, if you're going to do anything in this life, you might as well try to be great at it, because, you know, you don't want to sit back at the end of the day and with something left on the shelf. I know we do shorts, motivational shorts sometimes, and there was a Mark Twain quote. And again, there's actually been a scientific study done on the quote, but basically it says that, you know, at the end of 20 years, you know, you're going to be more upset about things you did not do than the things that you did. And his quote is, you know, basically, you know, let your ship sail. You know, go out there, you know, live the life. So that's how we live. So I guess, you know, again, as each week I do this, I can go on forever. I'm really anxious about Richie's perspective because Richie, you know, as someone, you're pushing 30 somewhere in there.
Hey,
Yeah,
26.
26. Okay. All right.
No,
He's
pushing
26.
anything.
He's 26, right? Well, it's not easy being 38. So anyway, with that said, I'd love to get your perspective because I know how and what I do, but like I'm going to phrase this in a couple different directions for you, and I want to see what your take is on it. Having worked with the South Jersey Golf School or now the Breakfast Ball, sitting at the table each week, listening to crazy Coach Bob throw out a million ideas and talk about aspirations for life. What have you learned, let's just say business-wise, from being involved with the Breakfast Ball or the South Jersey Golf Schools?
So, the Breakfast Ball specifically, I think you might have said the quote in the first episode. I'm not positive, but
yeah.
and I don't know it specifically, but a good plan executed now is better than a great plan executed later.
That's all. That's General George Patton. I'm going to do more of his quotes because I love that guy. Like those quotes are awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, completely true. Yes.
Yeah, I forget the exact quote, but I think
that
was almost it, right?
Almost,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The podcast we didn't really know what we were doing going into it,
and we still don't.
Yeah,
we're getting the hang of it.
The league that we started, you know, we had a good idea, a good plan, but we didn't know how good it was going to be.
Yeah.
The ladies' night, we had a plan, but you know, we didn't know we were going to sell out.
Yeah.
All this stuff that we do, we have a good plan, and we just go ahead and execute.
Yes, we do.
We don't wait and sit on the great plan.
Yes.
We just go with the good plan, execute, and we learn from there. We learn and grow, and that's probably the biggest thing I learned from just working at the golf schools. Just you have a plan, execute now.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's the Bar Rescue, like John Taffery, I think he said somewhere in there, like...
Love that show.
Yeah, I love, you know, Richie calls me like at midnight and Coach Bob, hey Richie, I'm working out now, watching the Shark Tank or Bar Rescue and writing the agenda for tomorrow. Like, I should really get more sleep. That's you know...
I'm with you. I'm off 4.5 today.
Yeah, I sit up hours at night doing this, but I know what, I would have it no other way. Like, literally, I mean, I've been coaching at Rutgers for a long time, but sincerely, as a full-time job, I've never really worked for anybody. Like I don't think many people can say in their lifetime that they're basically self-employed. They do what they want to do, and you know, I got to give a shout out to my friend Wally too. Wally is awesome, but. It's funny because she's doing the dating app thing. You know, I hope she doesn't mind me saying it, but like, you know, it's she when she looks on the different people, you know, and when it says entrepreneur, she says, well, basically that means they're unemployed, which I find funny. I find that actually hilarious, really. And entrepreneur, unemployed, and it's true. I guess like, you know, most of the people out there who put themselves as entrepreneurs are fraud. Like they're unemployed. But in our case, we're not a fraud because literally we spend, I don't know, I would say several hours a week trying to think of things to grow us. And you know, Taffer, I'm not interested in excuses. I'm interested in solutions. And that's kind of where we come from. Like my father was always, you know, work smarter and not harder. It's not the number of hours that you put in. It's the quality of the hours that you do. So, yeah, what we do, and I think we discussed it last week, is you make a list of three things, and you try to accomplish that each week. And if you do that incrementally, you keep moving forward. So, now professionally, I love that, the Patton quote.
Yeah.
So now, knowing you have aspirations to be a professional golfer,
yeah.
Okay, what would you say you've learned working with us in this industry, how we've done it, in terms of your golf career?
I've learned not to be scared of failure. So, I mean, this was something you said to me. I want to say 2 years ago that kind of caught me a little off guard. It was when I went to Texas and played in that tournament.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember
Oh,
that.
I remember that. Sure,
Yeah,
I do.
and I didn't play well. I came back, and not always do I play well, but I came back, and you said something along the lines of you were proud of me for just going out there.
Yeah.
That was something that, you might not see a lot of people do. Travel across the country and go play in a one-day event and try and qualify.
Yep.
And
Love it.
just that right there, for me, it wasn't a big deal. I was just like, oh, I'm just going across the country.
Yep.
Playing in a tournament. I didn't really think anything of it. But when you said that, I was like, oh, maybe I did something, a little out of the ordinary that maybe I wasn't necessarily, aware of. I thought that was just a thing people...
Well, that's the thing. Like that's perspective. Like
Yeah.
people like us think differently.
Yeah.
Like that's and you're going to find the gene of people that are successful are more like us, the people that
Yeah.
take chances and roll the dice where they can.
Yeah.
I hear it all the time. Like and you and I have gone, we have struck up several partnerships with different places, and it's intriguing because when you sit across from some people and they're always presenting the, what if this happens? What if this happens? The negative that could possibly happen. And to my point of view, like, when we're selling out leagues, camps, functions, and most sell out, but some don't. But like when you would rather have the guy who wants to get stuff done, who wants to forward their cause, rather than the guy said, well, what happens if it snows? What happens if we get hit by a meteor? Like it's like, well, that could happen, but like I'd rather focus on being great. That's just the way I am, and like even when we do public speaking engagements, like anything you can do to increase your brand is a plus.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was actually another thing too. Working for the golf school, I took a class back in college, a public speaking class, and the first speech, it was I think a 3-minute long speech about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you tell me if you can do that. I think most people can probably do that without thinking.
You guys can. They tell me to shut up all the time.
Only sometimes. I failed that first speech, and I was like, whoa. I was always scared of public speaking. I could never.
That's people's number one fear, by the way.
Yeah. Well, that was my number one fear. I always struggled with it. It was something I always struggled with.
Everybody does.
And going into the golf school, Bob doesn't ask me to public speak. He kind of just makes me do it.
Right.
And
well,
forceful.
For a reviewing audience, my dad was a professional motivational speaker. So and my brother is a trial attorney. Like we're like the weird people that actually enjoy it. Like I don't.
Yeah.
It does. Anybody who gets in front of a group of people, the first 30 seconds are always a challenge. But like once I get rolling, man, you can't shut me out. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it was just interesting because every single time that you made me talk in front of people, and it started off smaller. It started with the groups, and it starts with saying something in a room full of 20 or 80 ladies in the ladies' night, or going into the league banquet and actually speaking in front of people, or going in the room and speaking about the golf swing to the group of people we had in there. Every time it kind of got increasingly harder, but every single time I still had to get up there, I still had to do it, and
every time you've done it, you've gotten better.
Every time I've done it, I've gotten better.
That's no one. Let's save the mystery. At some point in your life, you're going to suck at something. Okay, I play the guitar, and we did the shorts earlier. Like I was up last night working on a lot of our motivational shorts, and the way I do things, I don't write out complete sentences. Like if I'm giving like today, I'll write Taylor Swift Fearless, and then I'll go with what it's in my head, and I find that makes it more natural to begin with. But there's a degree of practice that goes into anything to being great at something.
Yeah.
But so on life. So before I ask you about life, the metaphor that I typically use, and my buddy Timmy, who I'm going to call today, and Timmy better subscribe to the Breakfast Ball, but Timmy. Back in the day, he had a job at it was a convenience store, and he would always going on dates with pretty girls, and I'll be like, well, my buddy Brian and I'll be with what's up, Timmy? Like that's he's like, well, I know I'm not a handsome man. He's like, because I live on the 1 out of 10 principle. Because I ask 10 women out, because women are constantly coming into the convenience store. I ask 10 women out, and if one says yes, I'm way ahead of the game. And like, you know, when I'm 20 something, I'm like, wow, like, you know, you put yourself out there like that. That's pretty impressive. But like, you know, to be fearless, to have the courage to just do it and not worry about like sales, like a yes or a no, is cool. Anyway, Richie, someone's calling Richie. Yeah. All right, so he's got to exit out of that. That's okay. It's a snooze button. Richie's now awake. So anyway, your life metaphor. Being fearless in life means what to you?
Being fearless in life to me is just being able to be fearless with other stuff as well. So if you can get past one fear, you can get past another. So one of the things I've always said is one of my life goals is to face every fear that I have. So for example, one of them, and don't do what I did, but I am scared of heights. I had there's a saying, if your friend told you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? Well, in fact, I jumped off a bridge. Yeah. You know, small bridge. Again, don't do it. But
you want to know what's funny? There's probably a handful of people out there watching right now. So have I. But it wasn't one of my finer moments, trust me. Yeah. Okay, good.
But that was, I always said I wanted to face all my fears. I want to jump out of a plane at some point. Obviously with a parachute.
Right. Yeah.
But if I can face one of my smaller fears, that will give me a chance to face some of my bigger fears. Mm-hmm. If I can face public speaking in front of 5 people, I can, at some point get to 10 people and face that fear. Mm-hmm. Or 20 people, or 50 people, 100 people. It's just facing fears that are just incrementally harder for yourself.
No, yeah. So I guess the gist of today, and we talked about Taylor Swift and being fearless, and I dabble in music now. The trailer songs and the songs on this show are mine. To put yourself out there to do stuff, especially of that nature, public speaking, singing, playing golf, is something that requires a degree of courage. Yeah. So, I guess the message today is don't let others define you. Yeah. Do what you want to do. Live your life, and not easy. If thinking easy, everybody would do it. Go. Yes, go ahead, say it again.
I was gonna say, if being courageous was easy, everybody would do it.
Be courageous, but most aren't. So, yes, live your life, folks. We will catch you next week. I'm Bob Cardia. This is The Dashing
Rich Stoltz.
Rich Stoltz, yes. We'll see you next week on our eighth, slightly better than mediocrity breakfast bowl episode. Have a great one.
Glass of bourbon, my bourbon, my bourbon, alcohol. There's no great story ever started with, I'll have a salad.